it do? It's your girl Zen with another episode of ClosedWon. Today, I am so humbled and honored to have a person that I've looked up to for a very, very long time. You can even say I'm kind of his groupie. His name is Sae Koo. He is the co-founder, former CEO of Tint, and he's here to join us today to drop some knowledge and wisdom. Tim, how are you doing?
Doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm excited to be on here today.
First of all, tell us where you're at, because I love your background. And to those, especially entrepreneurs, we're constantly looking for awesome cafes. Please tell us, where is this location? How do we get in?
I'm currently at a place called the Center SF, and it's right in the middle of San Francisco, kind of like really chill vibes with a tea bar as its main service, and a great place to work and chill out at.
All right, thank you. And I'm definitely going to check that place out. Tell us, I believe it was 2013 that we first met. I reached out to you as a small business owner. We were trying to launch The Line, our small little lifestyle brand for our community in Mission, San Francisco. And I was having a hard time trying to update all of my websites, all of my social media with all of the different types of events that we were having. And I found Tint. And that's when I reached out to him. I'm like, Tim, I want to work with you. But tell us your journey. Like, how did you start your company? And can you share with us some information on how it's evolved and, where you are today?
So back in 2012, I was in college, and we were tasked to come up with an idea and take it as far as I could in my entrepreneurship class. And I came up with an idea, and once the semester finished, I was asking myself if I should continue that or not, and decided that I wanted to. And so from there, just more excited from building something from nothing, pursued this entrepreneurial journey, and moved up to San Francisco from Los Angeles to continue that. It had its fair share of failures and pivots along the way, and ultimately came about with Tint back in January of 2013. And pretty much the essence was really around how can we help these marketers best utilize their social media by aggregating that content and allowing them to repurpose that content that they share across all their websites, screens, and then so on and so forth in the future, evolving into like email newsletters, print advertisement, etc. Quick background is that we bootstrapped it to about 36 full-time employees and really started working with all types of brands from around the world. Never saw that coming, but got up to around close to about 6 million in revenue a year, and recently sold it to a company in August of 2018. So that's why I'm former CEO and former co-founder, but now excited to look at and explore what may be next.
That's awesome. So tell me, after college, you just started Tintup, but you've never had any sales background whatsoever. How did you pick up, and how did you start selling? And
looking back, I think the main kind of reason and motivation that got me to pick up learning how to sell and close was just out of pure necessity. Because we were bootstrapped as a company, we could not rely on outside funding to create a runway. And ultimately, like you mentioned, all CEOs need to know how to sell, because if they don't, and then they try to rely on someone else like a VP of sales that they hire to do all the work for them, it typically will lead to a failure, because the VP of sales needs to understand some sort of playbook that they can rinse and repeat, if not iterate to make it better. So, I believe every CEO and founder's role is to be the best salesperson and continually try to be the best salesperson until they get some sort of product market fit, create a playbook, and then bring someone in to rinse and repeat that more and more. But to answer your question, it was just out of pure necessity. Without my sales figuring it out and failing a lot along the way, the company would not survive. So it was a matter of, am I going to make the sale? And if not, then the company may only have a few months left to survive. So inevitably, when you go through that motion, you start to figure out like, oh, like, why am I not, I need revenue now or fast. Then you realize, oh, like there's things that affect your sales cycle. So, okay, now you understand what sales cycle means and how can you like increase that velocity. But you're like, okay, I closed one deal, but oh, it's not enough. Then you realize you don't have enough leads. And so that's when you start thinking about, okay, how do I get more leads? So going through the motion is my best advice for any first timers or founders out there who are doing this for the first time and nervous about picking up sales. Just putting yourself through the motion as a means of necessity, and you'll start to pick it up soon and more as you go through that.
Okay. Okay. So going through the motion, I think for every person, it's defined differently. And one of the stats out there that really hurt me the most that I just learned is 3% of buyers only 3% of buyers trust salespeople. That's so low. And so for you, how did you get people to trust you? What were maybe 2 to 3 different steps that you had to do to make sure that people trusted you in your conversations to make that close?
The first big one was building legitimacy. And so there's multiple ways to build legitimacy. The way we built legitimacy was through content first. And then the second one was utilizing other customer examples, creating customer stories or connecting those buyers together. So first content was really around how can we educate the market on what they're buying, what to expect, so that they know that there were no hidden agenda or any hidden costs or fees, anything like that. That's really about like defining what is the product you're selling, how have the best use cases, what have been the best use cases, what are best practices, and showcasing all of that for free without any expectation, and then just sharing that out so that they can learn. Because I believe that buyers, yes, they buy from salespeople, but salespeople, the best ones are those who identify a problem that the buyer has and then supplies them with a solution that the buyer can choose from. So obviously a good salesperson needs to listen to figure out what the best or the biggest problem the buyer has to be able to present the best solution for them. And then the second practical idea was really around leveraging 1 or 2 best like customer examples. So if you're just starting out, the best thing to do is get to that first customer and really understand their story, why they bought it, what's the value they have, and then really turning that into some sort of PDF or marketing material or sales enablement to then leverage for future buyers. And really, people trust people the best, especially other buyers like them. So if they see someone else from XYZ brand that they admire, respect, purchase it, it sends off a strong signal that that you are legitimate and your product's legitimate and worth taking a call to learn more.
That's true. I was blown away at the number of use cases that you've had when I was first onboarded at Tintup. You're working with Miranda, who was it? Miranda Kerr or Miranda Murr?
Yeah, it's like a celebrity.
Celebrities, Tony Braxton, and then you had people from NASDAQ and Lamborghini, Coca-Cola. Like they literally started reaching out to you because you had so many use cases that you were building. And I think you built them for free in the beginning, correct? In LA?
Like I mentioned, it's figuring out a strategy to get you to your first customer. And even if it's a first customer, well, first user, customer is defined by someone paying you. First user, you can leverage them and to find your first customer, right? So you're gonna work backwards. How do I get my first paying customer? I need to get examples. Okay, can I provide my services for free for an example to then leverage a story or a sales enablement to then get to the first customer, for example?
Yeah, I think I might have learned that strategy for me because that's where ClosedWon was born, is from our first customer. And I couldn't have continued ClosedWon if it wasn't for our current clients. So I'm looking at your Twitter account and it says here how an employee can become an entrepreneur. I'm curious. I'm kind of on this journey right now. what kind of advice or three things that you'd give an employee who, you know, might be more ambitious and they want more, you know, they want to start their own company. They want to be an entrepreneur just like you.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with other ex-employees that I've had as well. And I have a personal bias, so I'll qualify that by saying that for anybody who wants to be like an entrepreneur versus a entrepreneur is you're willing to give it all. And that means like you're willing to quit your job and you're willing to like go for it, like balls to the walls. And really, if you think about it, if I were asked to invest in entrepreneurs, and there's an entrepreneur who's asking me like, I'm hustling, I'm going door to door because of all the time I have, and I quit my job so that I can have more time to sell, versus an employee who's like thinking about it and wants to do it, but scared to do it and doesn't want to take that leap of faith until they get the funding. It's very simple. You can ask yourself the same thing. Which one would you bet on? That's the one who is willing to really risk it to figure it out. Now, I qualify this by saying that every person is different. With maybe you have a family, and you know I don't have a family, so I can't empathize with that. So I understand that there are risk, sort of what your risk tolerance and level is. But for younger employees that want to step into this, like you gotta really take that leap of faith to move into it. And how you can feel confident to leap into this unknown and chaos is like you wake up every day like thinking about it, excited about it, and wanting to like chip away at the problem. That's what I would say is a big strong signal that it's good time, or you have enough confidence to jump into that. It's not going to be easy, but you got to take that leap of faith as kind of the first big move. And obviously, one last one that you can build confidence before is getting to your first customer while you're still working at your current company for the new idea that you're potentially looking to launch. So if you're working at it as an employee and you're thinking about something and you want to start it, but you just don't have the confidence, but you're thinking about it and you still don't have the confidence, I think the next best thing is to find that first customer. And that means doing whatever it takes, which could mean like building it out for free users first to build a case study to then get to the first customer. And then once you get your first customer, you can ask yourself as a time to reflect, is there a path or a way that I can get to the next 9 customers to get to my first 10 customers? And when you get to your first 10 customers, by replaying or rinsing and repeating the same playbook that you did for the first customer, maybe you're onto something, and that gives you even more confidence.
Yeah, I love this second idea, and studying and working as an employee, figuring out if you could find paying clients. I think that salespeople have a unique advantage where they're already working a pipeline of people that they can literally treat as their own book of business, because you have so many relationships that you're building on a daily basis, monthly, quarterly, and to provide the best value, to build those best relationships, you have to really put yourself on the line constantly, no matter what it is, just helping them out as a friend. I truly believe that if you can provide value outside of scope, you're on your way to becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I would say the synonymous traits that salespeople have and entrepreneurs have, I'd say the best salespeople are problem solvers. So are entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. A good salesperson doesn't try to force and jam something into someone's mouth to accept it. They figure out the problem and then present the solution in a way that addresses the problem. So I think both a salesperson and an entrepreneur are pretty synonymous in that, or good ones are synonymous in that they're both problem solvers. And so naturally, a good salesperson who is a problem solver can evolve and step into an entrepreneur as a problem solver as well.
I love this. I have to admit again, one of your quotes when I first met you, I don't know if it was on your Twitter or your Instagram, and it was, I love to solve the right problems at the right time.
Yeah, when that was a while back, but I still think of it very similar in that, yeah, you want to work on a problem that obviously has a need in the market, but also aligns with what you're truly excited about, or like makes you super excited every day to chip away at. And so those are sort of signals to help you direct your brain and mind to figuring out what kind of problem you want to solve.
All right. One more question before we go. What kind of impact would you like to leave to the audience or people who are following you, your friends, your family, anyone that you've touched?
Yeah. Right now on a smaller scale, I think of it for now is just how can I empower entrepreneurs who are focused on meaningful, impactful solutions. I strongly believe that the world has a lot of products and it may not need more products, it needs more solutions. And so those entrepreneurs who are seeing that and really aligning themselves with that, I want to impart my I call them wisdom scars or scars of wisdom that I've acquired throughout my last 7 years of starting the company, and impart that to them and for them so that they can take what's best and apply so they have the better chance of succeeding in their solution-oriented venture. So that's what the impact I'm focusing and pushing for as of lately.
Amazing. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And many, many thanks to Tim for joining us in our humble beginnings here at ClosedWon. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe below. All right. Thanks, guys. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good one.